situated near the tip of Africa, is where we're from, South Africa. It's probably closer to Antarctica than it is the US, the UK, or Europe. Add to that various levels of sanctions in the 60s and 70s, hardcore sanction in the 80s, which lasted 10 years, plus the conservative government. The birth of the alternative culture was more a trickle born out of rebellion a few years after the initial onslaught in the north.
Despite political and social unrests and an economy that's never actually recovered, the advent of the internet brought an accessibility to the scene, which helped it grow. So we often get asked what the scene is like, and we've gone to the trenches to get the lowdown.
And on screen we've got Patrick Davidson, guitarist for Mind Assault, founder and curator for Metal for Africa. We've got John Morrow, guitarist from Margo and an independent reviewer. We've got Reegan Buisson, vocalist for Facing the Gallows, and Carlos Sanches, vocalist for Deadline.
And a wild Lou de Pisani appears from The Drift, Knave, and MK Undergrond.
So when we were in SA as a band, there wasn't really much in the line of labels or PR companies or that kind of thing. To be honest, it was only when we moved here that we even discovered what these things are. Never mind promoters that organized your gigs didn't have that. Has that changed in SA now?
Yeah. Look, yes and no. I mean, I think what we have seen in, like, say, the last decade or so, well, look, I don't even know if I'm actually the best qualified to really comment on this, because from a technological point of view, I was actually quite a slow start. Like, I only got the internet in 2006, so like Twilight X and stuff like that, I've heard about it, but to me, it's a mystery. So I don't know what role those kind of platforms played as far as like media goes. But when I kind of came around to being a performing artist and we wanted to tap into resources, there were a few very nefarious seeming characters floating around. People just with big promises, big mouths, but they didn't do anything useful. Whereas I think now we have seen a little bit of a culture shift, I like to believe. Just in the last year, for example, we've seen two labels emerge on the local scene in particular, which are in both cases kind of spin-offs of already established local music labels, but now focusing on heavier music. And I think the difference there is that you have experience and credibility coming into play. So these are both very new labels. They may impress or disappoint us yet, but they seem to be off on a good footing, which is wonderful to see. But we also see when it comes to media and so on. I mean, I've been running Metal for Africa actually as a website and not as an events company for 11 years now. And I mean, our approach to doing that back in the day was like, well, there's not enough evident, or should I say visible, platforms doing this kind of work. And I think this was more a Cape Town thing initially. Joburg did have certain things which we being from Cape Town and the internet not quite having taken off yet, our spheres of influence hadn't quite overlapped yet. So we had to find a solution of our own, I guess. And so we created Metal for Africa. But for many years, I've been pursuing news. Like nothing would pop up on that website that I didn't hunt and go after. Whereas in the last, say, what would it be? Maybe 4 or 5 years, we've started to see that press agents have emerged on the scene. People getting paid to bridge the gap between the likes of me and the likes of the artists that I'm interested in. I'd never seen that before, say about 2015-ish, maybe 2014. I forget when exactly it started, but the last half decade or so, I've never seen that kind of activity before. Mm-hmm. Well, not in metal, at least. Yeah. So I think things are moving towards a more, how do we say, from a international point of view, a more recognizable industry?
Okay, well, I'd say, as of late, definitely Warren Gibson with his old team from Plug Music Agency. And we've worked with a guy by the name of David Friedman. He's a good mate of ours. He basically handled all of our bookings. And to watch what they've done, I mean, they've tried to kind of scout some of the new age guys coming up just to try and help them out to get shows and stuff. And yeah, of course, we pay these guys a fee to help us out because it's literally like doing the nitty gritty of, well, okay, cool. You guys want to play the show? These guys are going to book you. What do you want to get paid? Okay, they're not going to pay you this much. And then they hassle that. So none of us have to look like the dickheads to hassle whatever. When we went to Germany, we were approached by a label by the name of Out of Line Music, who actually mainly focuses on industrial metal. They kind of just wanted some new blood to see if they could now branch out to the core side because that side has been growing massively. So yeah, these dudes manage Combichrist and Ostfront, for example. Those dudes are like hectic industrial, like basically the baby brothers of Rammstein. And when we heard it, we were like, fuck, well, we don't know what's going to happen here. Like, we're completely different to everyone else that's signed to them. But I don't know exactly what more to say about all the labels. There's some appearance in the country at the moment. But at the same time, I don't know what it's going to help unless you are networked with the likes of someone like Warren Gibson, just to name a few, who has, even Duncan Bell from Turning Tricks. Just to know some of these guys and their connections internationally would 100% help. But if you're trying to make a massive name in the country, fuck, you're never going to be bigger than Fokov Polisikar. So I don't really know what more there is to achieve here. And I think it sounds a little bit shit to say that, but 100% play the fucking music you love because you love playing it here, and you would have also been nothing without the people that came to listen to it here. But if it's your career, I'd say it's international.